Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Gaudes Nyabeta, and in this video I'm going to share with you a dream that I had. And in this dream, it was very short but very heavy, very weighty in its information. Now, the dream, the part of the dream that I had went like this. I was in a moving car and it looked like a military car, which is these Green Range Rovers Discovery cars, and I jumped out of that car. A moving car. I jumped out of that moving car to the right side of the road, and I went um, on the other side of the road, and there were many people walking along the road who were like zombies, not zombies that have woken up from the dead, but people who are literally half themselves, half almost numb. A person who seems a zombie in another definition is a person who seems only partly alive without any feelings or interest in what's happening. Now, I went to one of the men, one slim tall guy who was holding his phone his phone on the hand and was looking at it, and I shook him. I'm trying to shake him with all my strength. I'm saying to him, wake up, wake up. Life is not as it seems to be. Life is not as it seems to be. And I walked to another person, and the other person was in the same state like this other man. So many people were on that road, and they were all having the same they were having the same characteristics, like the same behavior, having just walking without, being numb, actually being like a zombie, just walking without any emotions, to say, like partly alive, just like the description says it. And I walk out of that dream. Now, I don't know if that's a warning of us being addicted to phones, and they can literally derail us from our walk, from the normal life, from the life that we ought to live, not being overly, spending our times on phones or on media or Netflix and chill, or, you know, on social media for that sake. But, partaking our lives in active, real, normal day to day life. I don't have any explanation to that dream, but I found it alarming to me to see that people were in this state, and I asked myself, what brought them in that state? Why was it in relation of this man holding his phone? He was holding his phone, looking at his phone, despite of him. I almost spoke German. Despite of him, being in this state, but he was still, being consumed with his phone. So, is this one of the repercussions that we are literally partly alive because we are consumed with our media, we're consumed with our phones? So, and life itself, it's an active partaking of, activities of our day to day, of normal communication, of, sharing our experiences of. And this reminds me one of the dream that I had one time. And in that dream, I was preaching. I was in a slab, a small slab, and I was preaching in a number of people. And when I was preaching in that dream, when I saw myself preaching in that dream, the sermon, or what I was preaching about, was about love. Now, I remember vividly that I was telling people, the people who are listening, that we should live our lives in truth, meaning that we should experience the love of God actively in our lives, and telling them when they go home and asking their friends, their family members, how was your day? How are you doing? that they should pay attention to how the other person speak, and they should be really truly interested, not just by the way, like to greet a person and walk by, or just, as a by the way, but to speak and ask them in truly, and pay attention and be conscious, like what are they telling me, and partake to the questions or the answers they're asking. And immediately when I read that, it reminded me of this dream that I had, where I saw myself preaching and telling people to go home. When they go home, like when they're having a conversation, they should have true conversations. They should answer questions in their own truth, without saying what people could find it easy or pleasing to them, like, how are you doing, and say, okay, I'm fine, although you're not fine. And when someone speaks out, one should pay attention and truly be interested in knowing of how the other person is doing, like have a real conversation, have a real intimacy of agape love, the love that the Lord has desired to for us to share, to amongst one another, amongst each other, as a family, as a friend, as a community, as a congregation, as the body of our Lord Jesus Christ. Like we share it actively, not only passively or just brushing over it, but be intentional in sharing our agape love, being intentional in knowing of each other's status, and really, following up, not just by the way. It's not a by the way, so that we create that we create that kind of intimate relationship, or yeah, a true agape love, the love that the Lord has desired for us to experience amongst each other. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you were blessed with it. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.